You guys good?
Yes, sir.
All right, welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton. Along with me, as always, is the PFT power person, Bethany McChesney. Do you notice how I did power person? It's very
Person.
PC, very politically correct today,
Good
or
work.
at least for that one moment. Yes, yes.
It just worked with the alliteration.
And recent NorCal DEKA winner, despite the fact his burpees were no good either, Isaac Sanderson.
They weren't awful. I After we talked today, I went back and watched them again. They're not horrendous.
No, they're not. Actually, they're not bad at all. And if the judge had just said to you, raised above your head, you would have corrected all of them because you were smooth. You were coasting along. You were actually you could tell that you just like, yep, this is I'm extending. You were
Yeah,
fully extending. I feel good.
but lockout. I was just doing like this.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's actually exaggerated. You weren't quite that bad, but yeah, that was it. But when people were criticizing other people's burpees, it was just like, you know what? There were so many burpees that were off that you can't really go back and say, oh, this person should have done this person should have done that, because there was you can't go out, you know. So we're gonna start with NorCal.
Okay.
All right, all right. So first off, for anyone who hasn't seen or anyone who hasn't known what happened, we had two DQs at NorCal. Mark Paulson for not allegedly, for doing 19 reps,
Mhm.
and Jessica Kavanaugh, is that how we say it?
Caviglia.
Kavinya? All right. For dropping the RAM, which in a sense, essence, is essentially doing 19 reps as well, or maybe it's a safety factor. I haven't got the exact word if they DQ'd her for the 19 reps or for the safety factor, but either one fits their narrative. Um, I don't know who wants to start first. Is this justified? Is this not justified? Is this good? Is this bad? Isaac, you were there. You go first.
All right, I was going to let Bethany go first, but yeah, sure. I think they're trying to set a precedent, right? They're trying to establish some sort of disciplinary action early on in the season so that future races is not a problem. Um, from my understanding of what you described and what we talked about earlier today, there might already be some discrepancies in terms of 5 seconds given to Robert Killian and Knoxville for doing a similar infraction, let's call it. Um, and Mark, I talked to Mark in person when I was there, and he explained that he heard 20 like called out from his judge, and there was no attempt to stop him. So I can see the side of the athlete for sure. And as an athlete myself, I'd rather side with them. I'm not trying to pick sides here, but I kind of am. I'd rather see the athlete who traveled there have a good time and enjoy their weekend opposed to leave with a sour taste in their mouth, because we all love hyper sports. We're having this conversation today because we do. So I think that, yeah, DEKA needs to maybe revisit this or have another conversation internally about what the disciplinary action will be. If it's a time penalty, that would be more preferred, in my opinion, opposed to a complete DQ.
Beth?
Yeah, I think the crime does not fit the punishment here, and I do agree that the things need to be cleaned up as far as like you can't be throwing the Rams, it's a safety issue. But a lot of this could be fixed if the judges were more assertive and were calling no reps. And if someone does 19, then they get called back. And like we saw this in High Rocks with was it with
Kate
Kate,
Davey?
where yeah, Kate Davey, the judge ran into the finish line shoot. She ran out, did one more wall ball, and ran back into the finish. And again, that just it takes some confidence on the judge's part. But if you're gonna have judges on the course, the ones that you know that are confident in no repping people, chasing someone into a finish shoot, put them at the burpees, because that seems to be where there's the most controversy and people are falling apart and their form is, and it's not always like the athlete doesn't always know, like you're in this like full lactic brain mode, and you know you could think you're doing a really good burpee, or like you know you're half blacking out and you just don't know, so your judge has to be calling your form, and if you throw the ram the last time, then the judge follows you into the finish line, you come back out and do another one. So I don't think that they should have been disqualified. We like a time penalty for sure. But then if you disqualify them, they have no time now. So if some of these athletes, which I'm assuming they would be trying to have times to qualify for Worlds, at the very least, if they maybe didn't get into the elite heat, they could at least get into age group or something. So to have no time now, and who knows how far some of these people travel to go to these races too, and now they have no score because their judge couldn't more assertively make a call.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys hit a lot of the key points. The one thing I will reiterate, like Isaac said, is that Killian in Knoxville in the beginning of the year, the first DEKAFIT this race of the year, dropped the ram and was issued a 5-second penalty. So exactly the same situation as what Jessica went through, but then was issued a 5-second penalty, not a DQ. The reason that Spartan did the DQ this time, and I'll tell you the interpretation of the rule book that they have, is that in the rule book it states if you do not, and we can discuss whether this is valid or not because, well, it's not, it's stupid. But in the rule book it states if you do not finish a zone, any zone, it's a DQ. And so when, like again, when Mark Polzian only had 19 reps, that means he didn't finish the zone. That's a DQ. When she threw the ram, there actually is no wording in the rules that says what the punishment should be for dropping the ram. But in that scenario, because of the way it's worded, the last rep is not completed until the ram is set down. So in that aspect, she only did 19 reps, so she gets the DQ as well. At least that's how I would assume they're interpreting it. That's the only way they could interpret it as the way it's written. But when they set precedence with Killian earlier this year with a 5-second penalty for doing it, you can't now all of a sudden change it without having rewritten the rule book and addressing it, saying, oh, okay, so Killian, we had not accounted for this. This is now going to, the penalty will be a DQ. They didn't do that. So now they have to uphold the same precedence. The other part that a lot of people are saying is that, well, they can't go back and change it because the appeal period is from the end of the race to 15 minutes before the podium. And that is written in the rule book. However, 2 paragraphs down, it is written that the appeal process may be extended at the head official's discretion to essentially whatever they want. So then they can go back retroactively. So they could actually go back retroactively and disqualify Killian if they believe this is the right penalty. So
We clicked the rabbit hole and we have those reports video for every single race, right?
yeah,
So go down that rabbit hole. I mean, you could find, I'm sure, someone missed 1 rep on a wall ball, or it's not wall ball, sorry, on a sit up, for example. And
that's right.
So that's a whole can of worms. I don't know if they want to kind of unleash. So I'm clear that there's no difference between what Killian did and Jessica did, correct?
None. I mean, Killian might have dropped his from a little lower, but same deal.
But it was on like their 20th rep, like it was
Yes.
the last rep. So it wasn't like Jessica did 18 and her 19th one
No.
was where she dropped it. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, they both were doing their 20th rep and did not set it down.
There's precedent set. And I'm sure Jessica doesn't know that. Like, I don't know if she knew that there was a 5-second penalty given to Killian. I didn't know until today.
No,
So
and I'll be straight out. I told Jessica.
Yeah.
So she knows now.
Not 15 minutes before the podium, you didn't.
No.
So
No.
that's
And
what
this is why I've been advocating for so long that it's very hard to take it serious as a real sport if you don't actually have a head official. And Yancey is great. Yancey is amazing, but Yancey's one dude.
who wasn't there.
And it wasn't there. Yeah. And I mean, the sport needs to be able to function without Yancey there sometimes. He's one dude. He's one
Right.
guy. He does a lot, but he can't do everything. And that head official job needs to be someone. It needs to be someone who's only doing that or nothing else during the race. They can help set up the course. They can do all sorts of other things because I know Spartan, DEKA like you to do lots of different jobs. But during the race, they need to just be that official. And that's it. And that's something where Spartan and DEKA need to clean it up. And it will not get serious until they do that, until they assign that job to somebody.
Let's do your application. Let's see if you're qualified, dude.
Dude, no word of a lie. Like we talked about it before. Actually, Spartan was going to hire me to do it for the Spartan Canada. And then right before they actually said, yeah, we're going to take you on. We're sending out the contract. With less than a week later, Coble gets laid off and every head official gets let go. So yeah. You want me to do that job? I'll do it. I would gladly do it. But you got to pay me.
It would make whoever's in charge's job a lot easier again if those judges also did their jobs. Like I feel like there's a lot more balls just being dropped than the head race director because maybe he didn't see it. So, but I mean, 5 seconds is not enough. A DQ is too much. So they need to find 5 seconds isn't enough for people to think that much about the ram
No.
throwing. It's like whatever 5 seconds, like but if it was a 1 minute, 2 minutes, that changes a lot of things in a DEKA Fit. So I don't know, something in the middle here. But again, you could have run back, took the person out of the finish line chute, made him do one more burpee, and then it would have been fine. But I mean, and like we've said, some of these athletes had some significant no reps based on their form, anyways. So
Yeah.
there was definitely some balls dropped on the judges' side.
Yeah, and I don't want to just like get mad at every judge because my judge in the lunges gave me 1 or 2 no reps for having my heel on the line. So like there are judges there that are doing their job and that are kind of being proactive and making sure that things are being followed, right? But it's just not like it's not the same across the whole judging system.
And that's the problem when you go to be a judge and you want, like, I mean, we've judged a lot, Rye judges a lot, Beth judges, we've all done it. And you want to be the best judge. You want to call it down the line. And then you're looking around and you're seeing the other judges not calling stuff. And then all of a sudden you're like, if I do this right, I'm putting the athlete I'm judging at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's a vicious cycle. And the problem becomes we all want great judges. Everyone wants great judges. DEKA wants great judges. How do you get them? And how, like right now, how would you, let's just say you got 10 judges and you got 10 judges who are going to judge the 10 people in the elite wave or whatever the case may be. How do you get them to be more assertive and more aggressive and understand that like a no repping a person, like for example, like I said, Isaac, with you when we were joking around, if you came up and I was judging and you did that first rep in front of you, I'm going to go, no reps got to go over your head. And it would have solved the whole problem.
Yeah, I would for sure done all of them way over my head.
That's right. And maybe even just one warning. If I say it's too far in front, put it over your head, you get no rep, right? Like anything like that
Okay.
would have solved the problem. But is it that they don't know, or is it that they don't have the courage or authority? Because it takes guts and it's not an easy thing to do
Yeah.
to affect someone's races. And it's not easy. Judging's hard as hell.
Mhm.
So is it a lack of knowledge or is it a lack of courage? And how do you fix either one of those?
Yeah, solution time. We're just
Yeah, I like
trying
to bitch about
get
stuff, but I also like to try to figure out how to fix it.
some solutions going here. I vote not going first. I want to think about it.
Well, we've said this too, even to have someone in the zone who is um whether they're like a more experienced athlete or judge, that if you have more, I don't know, like your general population person is coming out to help count, but then there's someone in the zone who is kind of watching, overseeing everybody. And especially again, when we're talking about the elites and the podiums, it's more crucial that you're really bang on because that's who everyone's going to watch and they're going to see the replays and we're going to be more critical of them than anybody else because they're standing on the podiums. So especially then we have someone in the zones who's and I know Yancey does this when he's there. He's yelling at people, get the ram higher, stand up straighter, or whatever. So if the judge that's there counting might not have enough courage, then at least they're hearing it from the head official within the zone itself.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And it doesn't have to be every zone, right? Like there's some zones like Farmers Care, for example, or the assault bike. It doesn't really take much in the way of facilitating how it goes. But there are the ones like the lunges, for example, or the sit-ups or the burpees that actually kind of require some form and technique. So maybe in those crucial zones, you can have someone either floating around and traveling with the pack or just kind of planted there to help facilitate that.
Yeah. I mean, it's really just the two lunges and burpees where people are really going to get no reps.
Yeah.
Yeah, box overs and sit-ups were ones like especially the box overs for a little bit they were having some issues, but that seems everybody seems to have cleaned that up quite well. You do see the occasional one that kind of skirts the side a bit, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. The sit-ups, especially the DEKA Fit, it's kind of hard to screw it up. You hit the target, you hit the ground.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, there are some people that go low though, like they hit like the bottom of that. So
Yes. Yeah, they kind of hit it underneath rather than on the face.
yeah,
But yeah, I looked at it and I still believe, and I know that they try. and then they get desperate mid-race. But I think DEKA has to do a better job at these events preparing their judges, as in when they do a walk around beforehand. And I've seen Yancey do the walk around with them, and I've seen them working it, but they don't just have to show them what is acceptable, what's not. They have to like almost test them, like, okay, this is my rep. Is that good or not? And do it in real time. So they can say, no, that's a bad rep. No, that's a good rep. Because it's clear. I mean, we watched the videos and it's clear with the judges that were there. They either don't know or were unwilling to call reps on those burpees because there was, we again, Isaac, we were joking with you, but your burpees weren't that bad. There was, you were fully extending. You were just kind of off on your angle. There were some burpees out there that were just an abomination. Like, we want full extension and some arms were like barely going over their head. It wasn't, they're easy no rep calls. It was like a wall ball completely missing the target. They should be easy. So they either didn't know or they were told not to call reps and just give warnings and stuff. So
And part of that's on the athletes too, right? Like we have a standard to uphold too, because everyone sees us on the OCR report. Shout out Jason. It was a good stream again.
yeah, he does a great job.
Yeah, it's awesome. But it's on us too. It's not just the judges that kind of have to have that power, that responsibility. It's up to the athletes too to perform and put in the technique practicing that it requires to look good and perform the actual proper rep.
See, I'm with you there and I get it and I hear that. But then when I look at
devil's advocate, I don't want to just like berate the judges all the time.
yeah, and that's
they're volunteering, they're taking the time out of their weekend. So
exactly. And you're right. And we are always saying, thank the judges. The judges are great people. They're volunteers. And we also say to everybody, if you believe this is a problem, well, then step the fuck up and judge yourself so that you can fix it. And that's probably the number one thing. And that's why whenever we go, we judge. We put our money where our mouth is. So yeah, I don't want to belittle them. But when I think about the athletes, when I think about other sports like hockey or whatever, and even I think a Hunter who has said this before, like he rides the line everywhere he can, so it's not a no rep until it's called a no rep. So it becomes, and I mean, I guess that's a good question. Is it a lack of integrity if you're riding that line knowing you can get away with it, or is that just sportsman, or is that just playing the game?
I'd like to believe the latter. I just think everyone's that they're competing and trying their best, and it's more just like Bethany said before, just kind of a lactate buildup. They just can't perform as well as they maybe are intending to. Yeah, I'd like to skew towards the optimistic side and have that everyone's like good character, everyone's a good person, and they're just kind of in the zone and trying to not hurt too bad.
He's still young. The weight of the world hasn't crushed his soul.
I
Not
know.
negative enough yet. You wait. This place is shit, Isaac.
It's all sunshine rainbows over here.
But anyway, so do we have this? Okay, so first off, DQ, warranted, not warranted. What should they do? Beth, what do you think they should do?
What should they do now or moving
Yep,
forward? Now, I do think that let's give them a 1 minute penalty so they at least have a time.
All right, Isaac.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I don't think anyone should get a DQ. Or I don't think they should get a DQ for what they did. I think there's things that warrant a DQ, and I don't think that those were infractions that warranted that.
I'm a little out in left field, and I don't think either one deserves any penalty whatsoever because they followed the judge's instructions.
Interesting. That's a good take.
I mean, I'm not saying you can't disagree with me.
That's a good negotiator right there, dude. Start with no penalty at all, and they're at DQ.
That's right. That's right. I've played this game before. We saved Mick. I think we can save these two too.
All right.
Yeah, no, I just, if they follow their judge's instructions, if you follow the judge's instructions, you're told constantly, do not argue with the judge. What the judge says is law on the land. It's law on the field. As far as I know, well, actually, it's not as far as I know. I know that nowhere in the DEKA rules is there any space for video review. There's nothing saying video review is allowed, so therefore the judges call on the end. Now, if the head official did see something, they can do that. They can say that. So if they went in and the head official had called it on the spot, that's fine. But with Mark, they were counting burpees, and I do know they went to video to review that. which is a video review, and that shouldn't be allowed. And both of them just followed the judge's instructions. Mark was judge said 20. You can see the judge clapping him along,
So,
crossing the line.
but with Mark though, Mark does admit that at one point he told his judge a different number.
Yep. But the
So,
judge bought it.
but again, like I could say Mark should still get a penalty because he kind of messed up his judge.
Yes. Now you can definitely say that, but and I'll point out this. The other week when we had a DEKA at our gym, I was judging burpees and I was told by the athlete that I was one low. Essentially, I can't remember what number it was, 12 or 13 or whatever. And they're like, no, you mean 13. And I kept counting as I said. And then at the end, and again, DEKA doesn't show anything but for video review, but because I wanted to be good, I actually looked because they did have a video, and I was actually right on that one. So the judge should have stuck to their guns and just kept counting and said, we'll sort it out after and gone through it.
And as an athlete, I would just, again, race brain, I just trust my judge.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're going to say, it's the judge's call, then if that's the number we're at, then that's the number we're at.
Yeah.
And I just go till the judge said 20. I wouldn't argue with them.
Do you guys even count your reps at the end? Because I like at the end there, I'm lost it. I've lost it. I'm just trying to do the form.
Oh yeah.
And I love for the judge to count it, but I don't actually count it.
Yeah, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Both are, yeah, all three high rocks races that I've run, I've lost count on the wall.
It's a lot of reps.
And the DEKA and SoCal, I lost track of where I was at. This last one I wasn't as deep, so I could count and it was fine. But when you're in it and you're in it, it sucks to count. Like I just want to finish it and then hear 20 and go lie down.
Mm-hmm. I count because not all judges count loud enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't hear them or they're not counting out loud.
I've had people tell me they don't like to hear me count. I count out loud the whole way. But I've had people to actually tell me I don't want to know where I'm at. And I'm like, well, tough. I don't want to lose where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I prefer to hear it.
Yeah. All right. So we'll all agree, no DQ. And actually, like I said, I think there shouldn't be anything, but I would actually be fine with or accept anything from like a 30-second to a 2-minute or whatever the case may be. But as long as then it gets put into the rule book that this is what we are doing in this scenario. So hopefully they straighten it out and there is still time to do so. So DEKA, fix it. That said, dude, your race, 2 in a row.
In a row, back to back.
You went a little hot. Were you drunk? What was going on?
No, it was intentional. I went out very hot. Yeah. Luke said it was like 130. I think it was like 133 or something. My first 500. Now it's a little shorter than the first one's always a little shorter, but no, that was the intent. I said on the interview afterwards that my goal, like time goal, was 2 weeks prior in SoCal, and I kind of wanted to flirt with the line a bit early in this past race and get into a pain zone a little bit earlier than maybe I'm accustomed to or used to, because when Anaheim comes around in 2 weeks from now or 13 days from now, I'll be just sitting in that pain. So I kind of wanted to feel it for a chunk of time.
So we were saying when we heard we were doing best PFT, and we were saying when we heard your time and heard how fast you went out, and we were saying, at least I think I said, and I think Jeff as well and Beth, we were saying that we thought you were searching for that breaking point, kind of like how fast can I go out and still maintain? So where would be too quick and then I'm going to blow up kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. I wasn't searching for a certain moment, or I wasn't searching for necessarily a feeling. I just wanted to know I was going out more aggressive than the previous time, and then try to recover as I was still moving. So I think that even my row was a couple seconds faster, and then getting off the row into the next run was faster. So just like, and it doesn't take much, a couple seconds here and there, especially on the rower, is enough to kind of just put you in that little suffer zone a little earlier. And then just try to get out of it and try to keep battling and try to stay smooth and focus on breathing. And as much the technique as I can. I'm not a very great runner, especially when you look at Katie, who won the women's race. She just has phenomenal form, but try to stay as close to my ideal, efficient running form as I can.
Did you, from the last one to this one, did you feel any different? Because the last one was the first one of the year. This is the second one. Did you feel any different? Did you feel like more comfortable? Did you just like, and again, you didn't, this one, I think competition wise, probably didn't have as much pressure and stuff, but did it feel at all different?
I don't, I don't feel much pressure for races anymore. I think I race too much to feel pressure at races. At least that's my attitude about it. I had a pretty busy week and I didn't really taper for this one. I did have a rest day prior to the SoCal one, so it felt more like a race day. This one in NorCal kind of felt more of like it's gonna be a really hard, tough workout. Um, I was joking with Jack. I'm not joking. I was telling him that like last week I was in 7 different states in 5 days, and I was on 6 different flights. Like I was not very conducive for running a fast time, um, and I knew that. So I the time was not just what the time was. That was never ever. I kind of knew I was going to run slower than what I did 2 weeks ago, so I just kind of didn't think about it, and I just kind of reset my goals and came up with going out hot and sitting in pain for a bit.
Yep. One more
Yeah.
DEKA question.
Mhm.
So you had your relay partner there, but you guys didn't run the relay together. Did she kick you out? Like did she pick Michelle over you?
Yeah, she ditched me. No, I had to fly out. I had already
Emotionally devastated.
my my relay partner from last year. We came third together, and she ditched me. No, I had to fly it too, so I unfortunately couldn't run with her. We're gonna hope to do it in Austin, I guess, depending on how High Rocks goes in 2 weeks, because that's the same weekend as uh, World Championships for High Rocks. So
So let's talk High Rocks.
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Um, First off, before we talk about you and High Rocks, and the other thing I'll ask both of you, Sydney Wells heading to the High Rocks LCQ. Good thing, bad thing? What do we think? How do we think she'll do? Beth?
Well, I think it's a great thing getting these like bigger name CrossFit athletes coming into it. Sydney went to the games last year. Um, and this year she got a bunch of no reps and quarters and is now out of it. So she dramatically shifted to High Rocks and is going in the LCQ. I know at the CrossFit gym that I've been at, everybody's talking about it. So I think that that's fantastic. And she has a bit of a running background, more on the sprinting side of things from my understanding. So she has been increasing her mileage and running a lot more in preparation for this. So I think this one will be good because the big name CrossFitter is now going to have a lot of competition. So this will be a really good race for the CrossFit world to kind of see where do our stars kind of line up with more of the stars of High Rocks and to have a bit of a comparison there. So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think she has a huge following, and that's great for the sport. Just to be talked about and heard and spoken of across in different gyms. I think it's gonna be interesting for the women's race because Christy came down to Houston, right? And she obviously won and had a great time, but wasn't really in a close battle with anyone. And I think that that'll be different. There's 4 spots available, I'm pretty sure, for the women, right? So
Yes.
there's going to be a bunch of stellar athletes there kind of throwing down. So it'll be a good idea, just to echo what Bethany said, to have kind of the better people in High Rocks. No, sorry, yeah, but in High Rocks, but also these new people coming over from CrossFit to actually see, like, not settle the debate, but see what happens when you put the best CrossFitters with the best High Rocks athletes um, and see how they perform. So I'm excited to watch it.
So when they did the 5K, which wasn't a 5K in CrossFit at the games, she ended up running like an 18:30 something or 18 mid 18s. And when you transcribe that into a proper 5K, we're looking at about a 20:30. Is that fast enough for her to get into that top four and contend with like the likes of Camilla Massa and Maria Fetchik and those women there?
Sure. I don't. I put a little bit of onus on your fastest 5K time, but I put way more stock in how well you can run compromised. Like Austin, I've talked to Austin Nazar a couple of times about his fastest 5K time, and I've lost to him too many times to admit. But I'm a faster 5K runner than he is, and I think Glenn races a faster 5K runner than I am.
Oh
I
yeah.
beat him the past couple weeks, so it's important to be fast. But I think it's more important to see how you run when you're compromised. So I would love to see a split of 1K intervals with, I don't know, 20 burpees in between, and see how that kind of progression goes for her opposed to just a 5K time.
And we have to remember too that their 5K or 4.6K or whatever was also within the games, and it was like the third event on one day. So it's not really also like their true flat out 5K that they might do if they were properly racing just a 5K and not within a 4-day event or whatever. So
Yeah, it's kind of like a compromise 5K. So,
yeah, it is a bit more compromised than a flat 5K, but
right.
So let's say for argument's sake, there's two scenarios. One, she goes, she races, she gets in, she goes to Worlds. One, she goes, she races, or two, she goes, she races, she performs well, but doesn't get into Worlds. Which one is better for High Rocks in the fact that if she gets to Worlds too easy, does it say, well, the women aren't that great, our CrossFit women can come over and, if they really focused on it, just destroy the High Rocks women? Or is it better to have her not make it and then they can say, oh shit, that's really hard to make the finals. One of our best went over and couldn't do it.
Yeah, for like establishing some legitimacy of High Rocks, it's better the second option there. If she
Mhm.
performs well, competes hard, maybe just misses it, or maybe comes in the top half of the pack but doesn't get in. It'd be sweet if she does. That'd be super impressive. If she hasn't even done anything like this before, that'd be super impressive. But I think High Rocks, if it had be inside that HQ, they'd be wanting her to just be outside that top four, probably.
I agree. I think so too. I think it's better for it to look like, you know, she came, she worked really hard, she did really great, she's super fit. We all know that, but she couldn't quite make it with you can't just stroll in without focusing on it, no matter how fit you are.
yeah, like we're gonna have some girls coming to the LCQ that this has been their sport for the last few years. Like I would still be pretty surprised if someone just shows up at their first one and, beat some of these girls. Phenomenal athlete in her own space or not. So, but both scenarios would still be great for High Rocks, I think. Even if she goes to Worlds, there will be a lot more eyes on the World Championships, I think. And put her up against Meg and Lauren, the best in the sport right now, and then you can kind of see how they compare. I don't think either situation one is better or not, but I think one is a little bit more likely than the other, but both I think would be good for the sport.
Yeah.
Is
Ryan
Kirsty planning?
proofs. What's that?
Is Kirsty planning on going to High Rocks?
No, no. As far as I know, she's not. Which is too bad because it would have been nice to see them both out there. I can't remember if it was Jeff or someone, or I don't know who said this recently, but wouldn't it be great to see Brooke and Sydney Wells do a doubles together? That would be a lot of fun. But prediction wise, I say she ends up 5 to 10 in that range, which I still think is absolutely fantastic.
Mhm. Yeah, for your first showing, that'd be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And then if she does get in, then I honestly put her I would put her pretty close to the back. Like I don't think she I don't think she has the experience or the ability right now to run with a Lauren, a Meg, a Linda Meyer, even like a Vivian or Viola. Like she's just not there. I don't think she has the legs to do that yet. Could she? Maybe, but right now I don't think she's got the wheels to run with them over that distance
Hmm.
and just that experience level. All right, when we talk about the men's LCQ, two spots available. Bethany, who do you have picked for those two spots?
I don't even know who's going. Isaac?
Me either. Hey, thanks. I don't. Who's
Yeah,
going?
Isaac
I've
and Austin.
I don't think Austin's going.
Are you sure? Oh, he's in Nepal right now.
Sammy Bear's going though.
Oh,
Samuel Bear's going to throw down.
I did hear this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw him. He posted that he's heading,
Thanks.
and I think that'd be great. I mean, I think it's his first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done some in his gym though, right? I think I've
Oh
seen
yeah,
some about like either like half High Rocks or whatever. But
but this is
first,
just classic Sam. I'm just jumping in the middle. Here I go. It's great.
I wouldn't be surprised if he throws himself in that mix and does well.
Oh, he's not going to be afraid. That's for sure. and you know he's a good compromise runner, like you say, and no shortage of strength.
Yeah,
So again, though, I don't think you can run in with that field in your first high rocks and come out in the top two. I don't think that that is feasible, but
I know.
I think he can have a great performance.
Yeah,
Who
You
else
know,
is going? Who's in the mix here?
Colin's going.
yeah, Colin Stiefer, which incidentally, Isaac and Colin are my picks there. Um, who else are you
Not
having? Anas Zuri, he's going. Um,
of any. I haven't heard about any Europeans. I'm sure that
ooh,
there's like maybe John Wynn or
I think John Wynn and I believe Lucas Storath.
okay.
Um, who I know Tobias is not going.
Hmm.
So
It's gonna be
former world champ not heading back to Worlds.
it's gonna be so hard for them. I mean, unless they come over like a week before, like that's a big time difference going from like just going from Europe to the East Coast is hard, but 3 more hours on top of that, plus an extra 7 hours or 5 hours, whatever it is, of flying. Like that's a long travel day. It's a lot of time to adjust to. Um, I'm not saying that no one can do it. I'm just saying that they're gonna have to be dialed in on their race week.
So do you got anybody like on your radar as in I'm gonna race this guy or I'm gonna do this, or is it just I'm gonna do my race, blinders on, do my thing, and even if they go out like someone like a Nos could go out at a ridiculously fast pace,
Mhm.
or Lucas Storath, known for heading out really, really quick. Do you hang or do you just say, I know exactly the pace I want to do and I'm doing that?
Um, Option C, both. I'm gonna make sure that no one gets out of range, but I'm not gonna overextend early. I think if I get past those sleds, I haven't had much time to practice the sleds, or not time, much equipment to practice the sleds. So if I can get through there within striking distance, I think that whoever's ahead of me has to be willing to suffer. So um, if I can stay in contact after zone three, um, then I'm in a decent spot. But I have to get there first. That's hard. It's hard to get there and be in contact still with these guys who go out way too fast. More like
Do you think so with the sleds, and Beth, do you think that they'll play as much of a role as they have in the past?
Well, they seem to not be because we're not seeing these um completely destructive times anymore on the sled. So, and they seem to be moving better. We've heard with the new equipment, the pull is moves a little bit better. So, no, but people's times are a lot closer to each other within the sled too. So, I don't think the sled is necessarily going to play as big of a role as it has, a couple years ago, especially.
Yeah, like you're seeing sometimes in the odd race where like maybe someone hasn't paced right, or even in the doubles or stuff like sub 2 minute sleds.
Mhm.
And in the past, we would see stuff like 9 minute sleds.
yeah,
Well, Lauren Weeks has had a 9-minute sled in the past
Yeah.
in earlier races.
sled just this year in Poland when it was crazy heavy, right? Like there's so much discrepancy. I'm hoping that they have it dialed in a bit. I haven't used the new equipment, the new center equipment yet, so it'll be interesting the race day to get there a bit early and test it out and see how it moves and see how the rope feels in my hand. But um, I think it's going to be just kind of an average. I don't think it's going to be a big talking point.
No, I think the biggest one will be the wall balls and if clean burpees, because we've seen the burpees have a huge effect now where they are judging them a lot more tight. Having clean burpees is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, again, those are the two like burpees and wall balls that have the most discrepancy. I know there's um, like standing upright and lunges. Dave's called me out on that before, so I'll be better at that. Um, but other than
This
that,
means I care.
oh yeah, I wasn't backhanded. And yeah, there's those three that kind of have those discrepancies, right? Do you know if they're using the new technology for wall balls or not? Have you heard anything?
I do not know, but I heard it didn't go over super well in last weekend in the UK.
Oh, interesting.
I, I
Yeah.
heard there were some issues with it where it was like, I don't know, just some people were complaining. It's like you have to hit it just right. And I mean, I guess anytime you have a sensor, right, in technology in it, do you think it's a good idea to have them? Like, I would think there you go in England. That was a no money race. That
Mhm.
was not a major. That is anything. I hope they do not have it at the LCQ because I don't think it's ready.
If it's not ready, I hope it's not there. I do think that's where the sport needs to go in that direction in terms of making it more standardized and more like we're not going to leave it up to X, Y, Z judges to make their calls. I think you just leave it up to the technology to be more dialed in and be more accurate. Now, if it's not accurate, like you just said right now, then I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to be involved with it until it is ready.
And
Um,
yeah, but I'm the only thing is too is I mean more of the discrepancies we've seen on the judging is on the bottom end of the wall ball than on the top. We do have some stuff on the top, but at the bottom end, but that is what
right.
it is. But yeah, I mean that would be something I know me as an athlete. If I saw it, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to the one that has that because they didn't have a full assortment of it even in the UK. I think it was like 3 to 5 or something like that. Just so I think it will not be there. They didn't have it at the last LCQ and they were already testing it, so I don't believe they would have it here. I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised to see it there. It's not the time to bring out new tech. You wait till after
Yeah.
Worlds
Hmm.
doing that, and until you've actually completely ironed it out. Um, yeah. So
Is it not? Is it, sorry to interrupt you. Is it a grid style or just regular style course? Probably regular style, right?
it should be regular style because it's open to anybody, right? Right. So you can't really give anyone. If you had grid style, put certain people in there, and then other people, it just wouldn't work. Um, do you think they should have the grid for? I only think that I mean, this is me. I think all the majors and everything, but I also think they should be open to anybody. Um, I think the grid just save it for Worlds, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I remember being in Chicago. I was just there watching, but the times that people ran on the grid were significantly slower than I'm talking on the men's side at least, because that's what I
Yep.
recall. Like Colin and Anas ran 58 mids there, and I think that would have placed them like fourth or maybe like sixth and seventh overall. Um, so I think there's a time and place for the grid. It's great for showing. It's great for like the whole theatrics of the World Championships or majors. It makes it a little more conducive for watching, but um, and if your goal is to just get the time right, I like the whole course setup. Now the majors are the majors. There's 5 of the year. It's their High Rocks' chance to broadcast and show their kind of performance. So um, from a money standpoint or like a viewing standpoint, the grid I'm sure is their preferred option.
See, sometimes I actually like it from a viewing standpoint, not on the grid, because when you get, say, like 10 guys all on the grid together, and it's not so bad with the sled push because it's there and back, there and back. But when it's like lunges or farmers carry, I get lost as to who is so close to the other because it's
But at least
just
you can see them though. At least they're all in the same spot.
yeah, granted there is that, but I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the open field better. And I still think you can pan out with a far enough camera away that you can see enough people. Like the amount of money and camera positions they put into their regular ones on poles and booms and carts driving around, I think they could figure it out. But
Yeah.
that's just my opinion, which is always right. Now, so when you're going into this race, man, so you've got some Europeans with some really badass times, right? Some really
Yeah.
high end times. Do you even take that in consideration, or is it just courses are also freaking different? None of that means anything. It's just race day.
Yeah. That's the whole courses or horses. I take horses. I don't really care about what course you ran fast time on. I've only run one high rocks before, like individual. Um, and I think that my time is going to be a lot faster this time coming up. So I don't take much, um, I don't have many thoughts about kind of what previous times are. Obviously, it makes you um, start the comparison, but I just try to shut it down as quickly as possible because I haven't raced many of these guys before. So, and they haven't raced me. So I'll just kind of see what unfolds on race day.
Hmm. So you don't, yeah, and this is one thing you don't, you've never seen like a guy who really cares about pressure or anything like that. You're just out there having
Well,
your,
I'll no, I'll be more stressed about this race. Because this is my first time I've actually kind of spent 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks building for something. I just like to screw around and do my own thing, and um, yeah, no, I'll feel pressure for this race for sure, and a little bit of anxiety, I'm sure, leading up to it. I'm not immune to that. I think that I race so frequently that races that aren't kind of marked in the calendar way in advance and aren't as important don't really phase me um, as much. So it'll yes, to answer your question, I will be a little bit more stressed out and a little more anxious about this race coming up. Yeah.
Do you think you guys can be on the top with kind of like you and Rylan kind of have that same, and I think a Chris Rogowski where they have that philosophy of like kind of just that wide range, Austin doing everything and all that. Do you think you guys can get to the top of High Rocks with that philosophy, or do you think you have to specialize if you want to be right at the top?
You have to specialize. But yeah, my intention is not to be the number one or two or third best hard rocks racer, at least right now in the world. I would much rather um, like I have a hard rocks race. If I go end up doing well at Anaheim the week after World Championships, I have a 50 miler. So I'm like I like to just dabble in much of different spaces. And I mentioned it before. I'm still young, still up and coming, still growing. So I have time. I mean, maybe I have time if things go well still. Um, I should ideally, in a good world, have time to specialize down the road if I want to. But for now, what fuels the soul is kind of just doing it all. So that's what I'll continue to do.
All right. So you're obviously getting one spot. Who's getting the other spot with you?
Doesn't matter to me. Whoever wants a big hug, a big sweaty hug, come join me. Yeah. No, I don't know. I would like to see the list first. I would like to think that Colin was going to do really well. I've been chatting with him on and off a little bit about just how training's going. He seems like he's in a good spot, and obviously he did well at the last one in DC, and also did well at Knoxville at DEKA. So, although I think DEKA and High Rocks are very different in terms of what you need to do well with those two things. So, um, yeah, I'd like to see Colin go. Or actually, no, I like to see Sam. I like to see Sam go. I'm taking it back. Sorry.
That would be, I think, that might be the shock of the year. And I'm not knocking Sam. I have nothing but respect for Sam as an athlete, but to come in there on your first race and snag a spot to Worlds would be massive.
Sometimes it just takes like there's people. Sam has been around this space long enough, and he's been excelling at Spartan races for years and years and years. So he has the capabilities to come in and do well as long as he's putting in that specialization work, right? As long as he's practicing his burpees and his wall balls and flowing in and out of running in stations, he'll do well. I mean, he'll be a scary person to lap against. He's a big guy. He's a fast guy. He's also big. It's just I wouldn't be surprised if he's near the front late in the race.
That'd be awesome. I would be super stoked. I'm
Mhm.
again super disappointed this will not be live streamed as like the other ones where I think like a huge mistake on Hyrox's part for that one.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure we'll try to find someone to Instagram live it. Maybe if there's, I mean, maybe if I can convince Maria to give her phone to me, I can live stream theirs and vice versa. I don't know. We'll try to figure it
yeah.
out. But on the women's side, we got Maria going for sure. She's locked in. Who are the other two that are, other three that are going to qualify? What's our weird calls?
Beth, you want to try first?
Well, now I'm trying to think of who's going. So we have is
Katie Duke is going.
Katie Simonson.
Oh, Katie Simmons is going. Yes, and Katie Duke.
Oh, Katie Duke's going.
Yep. So some other names, Morgan Schultz, Camilla
Oh,
Massa, um, what else we got? Carly's going doubles. Um,
yeah, with Corinna. I saw that.
yeah, I think Alina Wilnow was a maybe.
Tara's not going, right? I thought Tara was going overseas to do high rocks, right?
She is,
Going
yeah.
to Doha this weekend.
Yeah.
Why didn't she do the LCQ?
I think that her plan was not to go to France, so to go and do LCQ wasn't worth it. So she figured she'd do Doha because there's, money to be made there too. So
Right.
so I guess that's just where she sat. I mean, I guess, maybe she was at the point where she thought her training wasn't suited to make money at Worlds, so why go to France when she could try to go to Doha and make some money there? And yeah.
Right. Spend 2K on a flight to France and back.
Yeah, France ain't cheap. France ain't cheap. So yeah, so I think if I'm picking a winner, I'm actually yes, she's gonna get in there. I'm not placing her where she's going, but Maria's going to France. I think Morgan Schultz is gonna get in there.
I agree.
I just think she's super fit and she's getting better and better.
Mhm.
Um, I do believe Camilla. So Maria, Camilla, Morgan, and I'm not sure who that fourth spot can go to. Like I think it's going to be a real fight for it.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
I'd
the
like to
fact
see.
that there is 4 spots, like that's a lot.
Yeah, like that leaves the door open for those people like Sydney, right? People that maybe don't have much experience but can just sneak in there because they have 4 spots to go. Did you guys talk about yet about what's going to happen if people can't go to World Championships?
We have
How
not actually. We have
how is
not.
that was a terrible segue, but how is that going to go down?
I believe, and I was told this, but I don't know if I was told this earlier on, but I don't know if it's still the same or if things have changed because everything's very fluid. But I believe it's next in line in time.
No, 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 it's not. Don't tell me that.
I don't want to buy, you know me, I don't like it either. I think it's daft. I don't think time should have anything to do with any qualification for Worlds, but I believe that that's the way they're going to go for the way of simplicity. I think it was
Well,
Anthony. What?
what's
Go
the
ahead.
other option though?
Well, you could do something like, for example, and Anthony suggested this was as the LCQs were weighted differently, where one, say, example for the women, one had 4, one had 3, so you could take the fourth place person at the other LCQ,
Okay,
right?
well,
So that would be a spot to start. And I don't really have a problem with that one either. That's okay.
yeah, the problem is that wasn't announced previously. That's the problem.
Yes, exactly. So people could have raced for that spot.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't like that time one at all. I mean, it's the easiest one in terms of logistics, I'm sure, for High Rocks, but it's also no other qualification has come off time. They've all come off. I mean, time to get into the majors, but once you're in the majors, you're racing for positions. So no one time that's gonna like got you just a free, not free pass, but got you into the major into the
Yeah.
world championship. So I don't like that at all. But I mean, it does sound like the easiest option.
So, but in the question about that, and I haven't checked the results, but does that mean, like, say, the dude who won that race in Berlin with the incredibly fast
Yeah.
course, he becomes the guy?
K loop, yeah, that
Which,
was
again, nothing against him. He's a good athlete and all, but that course was clearly super fast,
yeah,
you know? So I don't like the time, but the question becomes, yes, we don't like it, but what do you do instead?
right.
And right now, the next best thing I've heard is what Anthony said. The next person in the LCQs, even though, like you said, they should have announced it beforehand.
Yeah,
And that is probably the best point is this shouldn't be a question now. It should have been a question last May
yeah,
for now. So
because
Or
those
do
are
they just leave the spot open?
that's another very simple solution.
Mhm.
right.
Isn't that what they do in track?
I don't want to try.
No, you come on, Beth, you're the track girl.
I don't know. I mean, like for a country and you have qualifiers, there's an alternative, but
Yeah.
they know who they are.
Yeah, but let's say at the Olympics or whatever, somebody drops out within the 2 week period that they're over there. I guess no, they bring alternatives, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But,
Well,
but there's probably a cutoff though. Like someone can't just like you think there's gonna be a JK situation like last year where just if you're on site, your name's gonna get called, or you think there has to be like someone has to declare I can't go 10 days or whatever the time frame is in advance, and that's gonna be like the opportunity for an alternative due to flight. And then if no one ends up declaring that they can't go, but that's within time, or is within that 10-day period, it's just 14 people race or 13 or however many people that ends up being. I
yeah.
don't know.
But I think the two options we just said, they'll leave it blank or it'll go with the next in time. I say the next in time because that's
Yeah,
what they did in the past. Well, actually,
yeah,
like you said, it was who was the fastest in the house.
right.
But that was a last minute run, right? Because Tim bailed out, was hurt
Yeah,
at the last minute, right?
true.
So hopefully they have a little, hopefully it doesn't happen at all. But hopefully if it does, they have a little more notice. Um,
Yeah,
World's team national relay thing. What's your thought on that?
I think it's so cool. I'm not sure. I'm the person to talk to about it because I don't know how the logistics work, but I think it's a cool concept. I think it's great for the sport to have this kind of like world competition. From my understanding and based on how I'm viewing everyone's team selection, it's kind of just delegated to its captain, and the captain has is up to their own discretion to make the
Yep.
team. That's right.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I like that. I like the idea of it, the concept of it. I'm sure that it'll be refined and honed in the next couple of years if they like it and they want to keep doing it. I think it's cool what Team Canada did, where they have a couple like audition tapes, and you gotta like show that you want to be in there because it's a big commitment, money wise, but also like you're racing for your country, and only 4 people get to go. So I like that the Canada team and Maria decided to make sure people commit and they're really into it. So I like that a lot.
So
Team
question
USA is
was,
scary though. Let me just say that Team
yeah,
USA.
yeah, Team USA is
Yeah.
definitely frightening. Yeah. Does anybody have a chance against them, like Austria or Germany or England or I think the
No,
only
they have
way
the
anyone would have a
best
shot
women.
against
They have the
what's
two best
that?
women in the world and the best man in the world. There's no way unless they have specialists come in. They have these people who
That's
are
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
machines on the erg. Like the ergs are crazy and they can run one quick 1K. But I don't know where those people are. Is there any like um not qualification, but any standard of like you have to have done one race
No,
before? You pick anyone under the sun as long as they can run.
anybody under the sun.
Well,
Yeah.
that could make it interesting.
I wonder if they can bring like this not personalities, but like bring more attention to the sport and grow it that way if they have people who are the best in their field on like the Concept 2 machines, for example, or these big, not strong men or women, but like people who can move the sleds or pull the sleds really quick. And I'm trying to think of a sport or a competition like weightlifting or some.
Well, I mean, I have a video on my phone all the time of the guy who holds the world record in the 500 meter for the row.
Right.
And I'm fairly certain that that guy could run a solid couple of 1Ks as well.
But
So
he
if
still
you,
has to do 2 stations.
yeah, but you could put a machine person, for example, like, I mean, I think if you're building any team, you're probably going to have the men do the two machines, do the ski erg and the row. You're definitely going to have the women do the wall balls. I would say women most likely do the wall balls, the burpees.
Yeah, the ones that have the
Yeah,
weights, like the scale down weights, right?
yeah, and then the men, like I said, the two machines, and I think the farmers carry because if I've looked at a lot of historic farmers carries, it seems the men times are quicker.
Huh. Team Canada, we should get Marie on the line here. We should tell her to call the 800-meter runner that Canada's got in the Olympics, AROP or whatever his name is,
Oh yeah.
because he is a big, muscly man and he can throw down a fast time. So I wonder if he could just rip out a farmer's carry after a 1K. Sure, he'd be good at it.
So what do you figure he can run a 1K in if you're gonna throw him out there for a 1K?
Him,
Yeah.
he could do like I don't know, like
Didn't he do a 245, 240 something
yeah. I was gonna guess like
indoors?
I was gonna guess high 230s or high two or low two.
So could he come into like a zone with like a 30-second, 40-second lead?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like
Yeah.
mostly running, especially the farmers carries. I mean, mostly running, and he's muscly enough to just grab those things and go.
And yeah. I would say that too. Like put him in that, have him do the farmer carry, and then maybe what else? Maybe
And then
even
he could just stay in France for the Paris Olympics coming up.
yeah, if he did the farmer carry and maybe a sled push, because if he's that muscly and the sleds are lighter than they used to be and easier to push, right?
Yeah, sure.
There
Sign
you
him up.
go. Maria,
Come on.
make the call. Because like
Call AROP.
that would be crazy. But I think that would be like about the only way to beat the American team is to get something like that.
Pure ringer.
It
Yeah.
still might be enough. It still might be. Even if you think about like what an American second team could be with Dylan and Rylan and Rich, Lauren Griffith.
Vivian.
Like they might come first and second
Yeah.
if they had a Team USA.
B team.
B
Don't want
team.
to call them the B squad.
Well, Rich Ryan's been going on for that for a while. He says they should be allowed to send a B team. He's like, we want to be the B team. He's like, I want on the B team.
Yeah, they would crush it. I don't like that. They wouldn't beat um, the A team, but they'd probably put up a good fight.
Well, so here's the question though, and I'm gonna hurt Rich's feelings. Would Rich make the B team? Because I don't know that I'd probably have Dylan and Rylan up there.
Yeah, if both Dylan and
Rich is
Rylan,
gonna be pissed at me now.
both Dylan and Rylan are healthy, I think they'd have to be. They have the faster
Yeah.
times. I know we don't talk about. I talked about more about people than courses, but they have the fastest times. Um, I don't see. They should do it. What Maria and everyone else do. They should do an interview, or they should do a
Mission videos.
form
bribe
See how
money.
yeah, if everyone's healthy. I don't know if
I think Dylan, though, if you put Dylan on there, even at the team it is, I mean, Dylan's one of the few guys I think that could hang with Hunter on the 1K and then on the machine. Like his machines are so solid.
yeah, they're solid. But I think of Dylan more as an aerobic capacity kind of mission, like monster machine. I don't I think that Hunter can put up more power, more wattage, and that's what that requires. That like that's only going to take them 6.5, 6:40 maybe, like 6 minutes 40 seconds. And that's pretty like that's VO2 max territory. That's a lot of just power opposed to just um, aerobic capacity. So I don't know, maybe, but I think Hunter would still edge him out.
So either way, I think that race is going to be a ride to watch. I'm super looking forward to that. I'm almost looking forward to that as much as I am just the individual race. I think it's going to be amazing.
Did Team Canada select their our people yet?
As
Or
far as I know, not officially yet.
We're
No.
still looking for one person, I think.
Yeah, I'm not. I
I don't
don't
know.
think she's announced yet. But
So Marco Arop has a 2:14 1K.
yeah, see, that's kind of quick.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think he would run, or I think he should run at least like 2:30, and he'll still be half a minute ahead of everyone.
2:30. He's cruising, man. It's a zone
Yeah,
two.
Jog
I'm saying. So
He might run 2:30 with the farmer carry.
with the weight. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This idea was floated out, and I don't know if it has any merit whatsoever, but as a last thought, we'll go through it. What how would the team race look, and would it be interesting if they said none of the Elite 15 can take part in the team relay race, and then you have to build your team? So
So
they just
now
would,
you're expecting people to travel to France to just do the relay.
yes, but let's just say for argument's sake that there was money on the line and it was worth it.
well, how many?
Would that be, and would it be entertaining? Would it be interesting? Or do you need the Elite 15 people in there?
I'm always a fan of building up personalities and building up people. I think that's what gets views if Hierarch's looking for growth. Um, Building up those storylines. So I think that the Hierarchs would prefer to have it as people only 15. But that being said, there's probably going to be, I don't know, 15. Like, how many countries are going to be participating in this event?
20.
20. So, like, a lot of them are already people who aren't in the Elite 15. It would hurt Team USA. It would hurt Team Germany. Um, and a couple others I'm probably forgetting about, maybe France. Um, so it wouldn't really hurt many um, many countries, and it would just kind of direct the spotlight to the people maybe on the fringe and people who are up and coming, which could be cool. People who are maybe not here yet but are kind of arriving. Um, so I like that storyline is if they sell it that way, but I think that they need to have the people who've been in the sport the longest, who are the best in the world, who people aspire to be like. I think that's what's gonna get the most attention.
Yeah, Beth.
Yeah, I agree. Like put the best against the best. I do think it draws attention and I don't know, creates a little bit of drama. I like it. Because
Yeah.
then you get to see our best also take on one station and see how fast they can do like a single station at a time.
Uh, yeah, I think we shouldn't ever mandate that they can't be in it. But can we not just get one Canadian billionaire just to go and bring like Rupp over there, maybe Emma Lawson to do some wall balls, things like that. Let's just create a superpower team there and you know, drop some carnage.
I'm down. Oh, Dave, it can be on you.
Yeah, yeah. I'll create the team. There you go. I'll captain it and I'll sit by the side and go, I did that. That was me.
Maybe if it wasn't an Olympic year, it'd be easier.
Yeah, yeah. I think if it wasn't an Olympic year, that's how it would have happened.
Yes, for sure. For
For
sure.
sure.
We'll never know.
Awesome, guys. All right. Why don't we call it a night? And Isaac, man, congrats on the two back-to-back wins. We
Appreciate
are
it.
so looking forward to watching you run in Anaheim, and best of luck. We got lots of faith in you. We'll be cheering till our voices are sore, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks for the conversation. Like talking to you guys.
Yep. And you're welcome to sleep in our closet anytime.
Hey, I'll see you guys December 13th.
Yes, yes. Beth, you want to wind us out?
Well, that was a great outro. So yes, thanks so much again, Isaac, and all the best in Anaheim.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Take care.